All right, and all this stuff is coming out of the drain, guys. This is why we have to clear those things.
This video is brought to you by Sportland. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
We've got a water leak complaint coming from the area of this kitchen AC. I have a pretty good feeling that's from the AC. It's either coming from this AC or it's coming from the refrigeration lines of one of those walk-in units. But what you can do is look over here. If the lines were all iced up, I mean, that insulation is definitely compromised. That's the walk-in freezer, that's the walk-in cooler. But I don't see ice build up on the refrigeration lines, so you know, I don't think it's going to be from that, but it is possible that this is also in the same area. So when I go downstairs, we'll verify. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open this AC up. In talking with the manager informed me that their kitchen AC hasn't been working very well either. Okay, again, conversations with the manager. You know, we don't shake their hands anymore. You know, bump fists, bump elbows, whatever you're gonna do, and ask the manager how he's doing, kind of get him into a casual conversation. And then I start asking, okay, where's the problem coming from? You know, when they placed the service call, they just said water leak. They didn't say anything about a kitchen AC not working, but it's that casual conversation with the manager that I had that led me to, yeah, the kitchen's been hot, but I haven't called because we're trying to save money. Okay, that helps me. So the first thing we do before we turn anything off, the unit is running right now. We're gonna see if both stages are running, if we have any abnormal frost patterns, any water leaks or anything like that. This unit, I made a video a long time ago about the VFD failing, and the customer still hasn't approved us to replace that VFD. We put a contactor in and bypassed the VFD and then turned off the heat. But this is their kitchen AC, so that's why they don't use the heater. So anyways, that's a whole nother video. Just walking up to the unit, looks like we have a first stage call. First stage compressor is running, second stage is not. You can tell which one's the first stage by looking at the evaporator. Suction line on the bottom, the evaporator tubes on the bottom are the first stage, okay? So the first stage is always gonna be on the bottom of the evaporator, and then the second stage is gonna be on the top on these carrier units. You have to preface that with some manufacturers do multi-circuit to the evaporator, but gotta pay attention. So things are looking good so far. Actuator for the Jade module kind of will tell us some information. We're in status mode right now. Economizer, so it's economizing, so it's probably calling for first stage and opening the outdoor air damper because it's pretty cool outside right now. And cool, Y1 in, on, Y1 out, on, Y2 in, on. So we're not sending a call to Y2 because the economizer is blocking it out because it's using free cooling. Mixed air temp is 62. Outdoor air temp is 62. Dampers open 100%. Okay. So we're gonna eventually have to turn off the economizer so we can check the second stage. But before we go any further, I'm not seeing anything too scary to me right now. All right, and as I was grabbing my meter, the second stage just turned on. So second stage is running. Yeah. So we know both compressors work. We know the thermostat works. We know the logic works. Economizer module is working. At this point, we're gonna check the belt and then go from there. I jumped in the filter section first. The filters, the manager told me were just replaced by the filter changing company. The belt kind of sounds like it's loose because it sounds like it's slipping right now when I took the door off. We'll see in just a minute. I'll jump over there. So far, I'm not seeing any water leaks down in the ducts or anything. So both stages are still running really good. I can see down through here, they're condensating really well. I've got good heat displacement from the condenser fan motors. We're doing decent so far. So at this point, oh, it looks like we might be hitting a freeze alarm on here. But at this point, I'm pretty much ready to go ahead and power down the unit and just troubleshoot accordingly. I'm gonna check the belt, pull the filters out. So I know the unit's working, so now I'm gonna power it down. We got to be careful about powering it down, especially on these carriers, especially on the older ones, I should say, when they have the compressor lockout boards, because when you power it down, you reset the safeties. Theoretically, you do the same thing on these, but it is a little bit easier to check the safeties because you actually have very easy high pressure, low pressure. So if you have a unit not working, you can jump on that and check the safety really quick to see if there's anything going on. Again, this one, the VFD has been bypassed, so it's non-existent in here. This belt is extremely loose, and this blower assembly has got a big ol' quite a bit of dirt on it. We're probably going to try to clean that blower real quick. That's going to be hard though. I'm not going to pull the whole blower assembly. We'll have to see. To see the best I can. This is going to be interesting. And let's pull the filters and see what's going on over there. Doesn't look like we have a plugged up drain. We're still going to try to blow it through it, and the evaporator's not bad. I am going to put some cleaner on it though, because there is a nice little grease spot from the old filters. So we'll get that off and check the drains and all that. Filled the drain pan up with water and it's just sitting there. It's not draining. It's very slow. So we've got a slow drain over here. If I pop this, it'll probably go like crazy. There you go. So we've got a slow drain we need to clear, looks like. For this stubborn grease right here and in the corners, I've got some of the Venom Pack, the blue brightener, because it really breaks down the grease really well. So we're gonna do that one on that real quick, and then when we're all done, we'll clean it with evaporator coil cleaner. I sprayed some on there. You gotta make sure you are very careful though, because this, especially coming out of the Venom Pack, it's highly concentrated, so you gotta make sure you dilute it with water if you're not using the coil gun. But you also gotta just be cautious because it does have a strong odor to it. It's not as strong as some other manufacturers, but you gotta be cautious about that. So I'm gonna take a metal brush and brush the grease off real quick, and then we'll give it a rinse. The water's coming out pretty nasty. And this stuff foams up really good too, if you mix it strong basically. So I'm just making sure I'm getting it off. And again, I'm not worried about a shiny coil per se. I just want to get that grease off of those corners. And that grease is basically where the filters, the standard pleated filters that they had before met. That's just a common thing on ACs. You won't really get that as much with the filters that they get from the filter changing company, but that's a whole nother thing with those filters. I'm using the evaporator coil cleaner now, and that's going to thoroughly foam and really clean the evaporator bacteria and all that crap out of there. Remember, it does not take much. That's probably going to be too much. And then when we're all done, I got some of the strike back sanitizer that I already have pre-mixed from the last time, and we'll go from there. All right, my coil's already saturated, and we're just going to start from the bottom up. I'm running very light dilution ratio. We're going on the A setting because I'm going to go heavy from the other side. This side's just to get the surface. So just going to spray it on there, work my way up, bottom up. Try not to get it in the ducts. I'm being very careful. There's a little bit of drippage, but I got towels and stuff down there. I'm going to let that rinse down the coil, and it's already coming out the drain. And then I'm going to go heavy concentration from the other side and then try to push any of the stuff out. So I'm going to go on the C setting. And you can see we get a lot of foaming action. So I'm gonna get in there and do my best to get it in there, push it all the way through, and then we'll let it sit. The key to this stuff is to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes with the evaporator coil cleaner mixed properly. Let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, then we'll give it a rinse and then a sanitize. You can see the cleaner came through to this side because of the foaming action, just pushed right through. And I can actually see light through this guy. But we're just letting it sit because the foam's kind of building up. You gotta be cautious too that it doesn't overflow into the pan. While I'm waiting for that stuff to sit, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to damage it. I'm going to start pre-rinsing the condenser and then see if we're going to have to split this or not. I have a feeling we will, but I'll get a better idea. But yeah, this thing's got some pretty big buildup in here. I started to notice that there was more water than I'd like to be dripping down into here. Didn't get into the ducts yet, but these ducts are horrendously greasy. So I went ahead and pulled the economizer out. It was just a couple screws. And then that way I can get in here a little bit better and rinse this guy. So I dried up everything. I just got a towel because that's the spot where it usually drips from. And then we're gonna get in here a little bit more, but it really isn't that dirty. A little unconventional use here. I've got some of the regular maximum strength Venom Pack. This stuff is metal safe, not gonna hurt anything. Put it in here. We're gonna run heavy concentration on this, and we're gonna degrease the economizer because it's nasty. All right, so we're running super heavy on the concentration, so it's gonna foam up a lot. We're gonna let this stuff sit on here for a while, and then we'll get in there and degrease everything. I just got in here with my brush and I'm just scrubbing the heavy areas that have a lot of buildup. It won't turn out perfect, but it'll come somewhat clean. Hopefully if we just do this every once in a while, it'll just, you know, it'll be manageable and it won't ruin the entire economizer. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. I mean, there's still some grease in some places. I'm gonna take some of the sanitizer and spray it down with sanitizer. And then the evaporator's done, so we're gonna spray that down with sanitizer too. As we're removing everything, I've already got it mixed. I think I've shown this on other videos. As we're removing everything, or as I'm putting it back in, I'll just spray everything down. It's not gonna hurt anything. Completely safe. It's just, again, you know, there's still grease on there, but definitely on the evap, we'll spray that down. Get the whole thing nice and coated with sanitizer. I'll give this little metal piece of wipe down. This just, you know, adds a little more comfort to make sure that it kills the bacteria and stuff that can be on that coil and viruses and all that fancy stuff. But absolutely, do I not claim that this kills the viruses that we're worried about and stuff. It just kills viruses in general. I'm not going to make any claims that I can't substantiate with 100% proof. So this is more or less just for peace of mind. I sanitized all the surfaces when I was done. Did my best to get the stupid filters back in. I'm not a fan of these. They like hook around this side, like shove in there. That's how they had it. Don't like these at all. So when I blow this out, it just comes up this. And if I plug this up, the vent, it comes out here. And when I plug all three up, it comes out there. So we got a plugged up main. The kitchen AC is the low spot. So look at all that stuff that I'm blowing out of there right now. All those big chunks just came out of that drain. So we definitely have a plugged up main right now. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and finish on the kitchen AC, tighten up that belt. I'm sure that's gonna solve the problem of the unit working, and then we're gonna have to blow out the main, and that's a whole nother thing. This one was a little bit more difficult to split. It's not horrendous, but it's definitely dirty in there. So we're gonna give it a quick rinse. It's not gonna take much. And I just use this to be careful. But you gotta make sure you don't dig into it. It's kind of a pain. Let the cleaner sit on there for a bit, and then we can get in here with the wand and really give it a good scrub from this side. And then we'll get the other side too. So. Got a new belt installed. The other ones were an A49, AX49, but they were worn out pretty well. I happen to have an A48 on the van, an AX48, so I dropped the size down a little bit, got it tensioned up right, nice and snug down. I have nothing to clean this blower assembly right now. It's not horrendous, it's just starting to build up, so I'll bring it to the customer's attention. I'm gonna probably need another tech, and just to be safe, we'll pull the top and pull the blower assembly out. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna put the blower panel back on, start this guy up, and make sure everything's good. All right, as far as the drains go, these drains are all piped together underneath the roof deck, and I can prove that by when I blew up in this one, it came out over here. So we've got a main drain plugged up. Now I know this prototype, okay? We have the high end of the roof over there, and it all drains into the kitchen area, over the restroom area too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tape these off with electrical tape, disconnect, tape them off. Then we're gonna go start, and we're gonna tape every one off. That one right there, I disconnected every drain. We'll go start at that unit, and we'll tape the hose to the drain line and just let it go for 5 to 10 minutes. And then we're gonna keep moving down the line. Okay, so that one, that one, that one, this one, and then we'll do the kitchen. And when I blow through them, we're taping off all the lines so that way it's not coming back up into another AC, and we're blowing out the main. And then we'll probably be able to go downstairs and see where it's all draining. There'll be a big drain snake coming out, I'm sure. This is my crude drain cleaner. Essentially, it's taped on, it's running. All of them are taped off, so it's being forced down. So we're gonna go downstairs and see if we can find where it's draining out of. Everyone is taped off all the way over here. All right, and all this stuff is coming out of the drain, guys. This is why we have to clear those things. So you guys see what I mean about how nasty that was. All that stuff, we just plugged up the whole water heater room. Me and the manager just squeegeed all that crap out. Now we're gonna switch over because they're still gotta clean the lines, you know, as we go. So we're still working on it. Here we go again. Big old chunkers of stuff coming out of this thing. It's nasty. This is the crap coming out of there. It's just years of not being cleared properly. All right, the drains are all back together. Now, I have a little bit of an unorthodox method here, and this is just how we roll. I don't use a union, I just use a coupling, and we just put a piece of black tape on each side. We do that so that way we know we don't have to fight anything, and if I was using a union, it'd be a little bit more difficult to tape the hose and stuff to it. So, okay, we've got a 10-ton package unit. This is the first stage. Superheat's a little bit low. We're scrolling through right now. Temperature split's a little bit high. It looks like airflow is low, but we do know that the indoor blower squirrel cage is dirty, and I bet you anything the return air grills are dirty too. Approximately 120,000 BTUs. All right, this first stage is doing as good as it can right now. We're gonna jump onto the second stage. Okay, so this is an interesting one because the second stage, the superheat's looking pretty good, which is interesting. It makes me wonder if the second stage has a leak because we know this unit has low airflow. Very interesting. All right, well, the unit is working. I don't like the low superheat on the first stage, but I need to fix that blower assembly first. We're not gonna mess with it too much. Oh, you know what I will say? I will say that since we're pulling outside air, we're pulling quite a bit of outside air, and that does go into the second stage. So it's possible that the first stage is getting a little starved. But still, we know we got airflow issues. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this one up, talk to the customer about getting approval to come back and pull that blower assembly and clean it.
The call started as a water leak coming from the restrooms, actually, the women's restroom. And when I went into the women's restroom, I wasn't able to get good video in there. There was nobody in there, but there was music playing in the restaurant and stuff, so I couldn't get good footage. But there was no water when I arrived, but I can definitely see where the paint was peeling from the restroom ceiling. I went ahead and popped my head above the ceiling in the restroom, and I immediately saw the return air duct from the kitchen AC. I was a little bit worried about refrigeration lines, possibly the walk-in freezer lines condensating, but they were nowhere near where the water leak was. It was clear it was totally clear that the water leak was from the return air duct. So when I came up onto the roof, I noticed that there was no water in the ducts, which was kind of strange, you know? But you guys saw that I ended up seeing it was a slow drain. So we had a couple things going on here, okay? We had a very loose belt, all right? The cleaning was just, as far as the evaporator and the condenser, that was more of a preventative issue. The real issue was the loose belt and the plugged up main drain. The way that this was happening, I know this prototype of this restaurant very well, is that every AC was condensating and backing up into the kitchen AC. And because of the way that they piped these ACs, the vent is higher than the AC, so if the drain backs up, it's going to back up into the air conditioning unit before it comes out of the P-trap vent. You get what I'm saying? Because of the way that it's piped. So without repiping the entire thing, I can't fix that at this time. So I went ahead and cleared the main out. You guys saw how nasty that was, okay? That's my crude method. You know, I'm not a plumber. I just kind of run with water, and that's my only tool that I have. So I just made sure that I started at the highest point and then blew every AC out from that point forward, moving from the next level, all the way making it to the kitchen AC. And we actually plugged up that drain a couple times during the process. There was actually a cook down there. Every time I'd start a new AC, it'd blow out a bunch more of those chunks, and then he'd have to clear them out because the drain would get plugged up. And we went down there and used the water hose and blew it out a bunch of times. It's kind of a mess. I've seen that. You got to be cautious about that too, because I've seen that happen inside of a restaurant. This particular prototype has a couple different locations where that drain can terminate. And in this one, it was in the water heater room, but I've seen it happen in the dishwasher area, and I've seen it happen like over by their walk-in coolers. And one time it happened in the dishwasher area, and it was just as nasty as this one. And I came downstairs after I blew out every one, and the manager was like, "What are you doing? What's happening?" There was water everywhere because that slime actually plugs up the drains, because there's usually screens in them, and it just started overflowing, and it was going into the dining room. So I learned my lesson on that one, and I always try to go downstairs after I start the first one, see if I can figure out where the water's draining, and then make sure nothing was dirty or plugged up like this situation. So went ahead and cleaned up the rest of the unit like you guys saw. You know, the economizer wasn't horrendous, the evaporator wasn't horrendous, but a little bit of prevention right now prevents it from being worse later. So that's why I went ahead and put cleaner on everything. And then the sanitizer at the end, again, it's just like on an ice machine. We use sanitizer on an ice machine to sanitize the area as we're backing away from the machine, right? So you clean it with a cleaner, and then when you're done, as you're stepping back in reverse and you're sanitizing. That way you've done everything in your power. Now, of course, this unit's still dirty. Of course, it still has grease, but I know to the best of my ability, with the time constraints that I had, that I sanitized everything coming out of the unit. So that way, I didn't create any problems. At least that's the peace of mind that I have walking away from this. So I've started instituting using that strike back sanitizer on all of the ACs that I do cleanings on. It just makes me feel better. I really don't sell it, and I know you guys could, okay, but it's not really a selling thing for me because I'm dealing with restaurants on a facilities level, and they really don't see that value. But if you were dealing with mom and pop restaurants, this would be a great value to let them know, like, hey, I'm sanitizing your equipment when I'm done. I know it seems kind of silly that on a corporate level they don't really care about that. They do, but it's just, I'd be beating a dead horse trying to, sell them like, hey, I'm doing this fancy sanitizer and stuff. They just don't see the value in that as much. I don't know if that comes across to you guys, but I still do it, but it's more or less for my peace of mind. So anyways, I really, really appreciate you guys checking this video out. Do me a favor. Come check me out Monday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific, hopefully with my internet works, unlike last week. I'll be doing my live stream. We'll talk about these videos. And then also keep in mind that if you guys are considering purchasing any tools and you guys choose to use TrueTech tools, you guys can use my offer code Big Picture, one word, to save 8% on your order. And it gives me a small commission. So it's a way to help support the channel. And soon, very soon, I was just emailing with my website developer. We are getting very close on the launching of the website where you guys will be able to get all that merch. I always never know where my hand's going to point, but all that merch right back there will be for sale very soon. So keep an eye out. I'll definitely announce it on all my social media channels and everything. So really, really appreciate you guys, and we will catch you on the next one, okay?